With the seasons changing, the conversation is about planting, at least in my neck of the world where, I'm in agriculture and I know that we're trying to get our planter in. I'm seeing the neighbors getting antsy, talking to our clients about getting into the field, getting not so much in the field, but their planters in and ready for spring planting. Also talking to clients across the United States. Some of them had the pleasure of already putting some planters in the ground in the areas that the weather is ready. But the biggest thing is that phone is ringing, which means the precision ag dealerships, ag equipment dealers are busy with phone calls. And today we're going to cover some things that will hopefully help get those conversations moved forward. I'm Laura Sutherly with Agtivation, and I'm here with my friend Brad Killgore, and he's going to join in with some great insights as to how you might be able to handle multiple conversations at once and also get those questions answered so that when you have that conversation with your growers, you're able to have great conversations. It's not the basic of, are you available today or what hours are you open? So, Brad, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Laura. Always a pleasure to see you, and looking forward to jamming out on some valuable information for your industry.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Harvesting Growth is our podcast to hopefully drop some gold nuggets that you, as a dealership owner or small business owner in ag, can take and really run with. So, what we were, what I'm mentioning today as one of the busiest seasons start happening in agriculture, the phone calls. So, whether it would be just basic questions about how to set up their planner, what they might be able to do now, troubleshooting calls, compatibility questions, or will this work with my planter? Those are some of the basic questions that dealers have been receiving for years. And it's a great conversation. But if we stop and think, wait a minute, this year we have a tool, or we're starting to see how AI can complement what we're doing and take that to the next level. And while I've been working with many of my clients, they have been doing planter clinics, they've been doing monitor trainings, they've been doing different in house opportunities to educate or answer questions as group settings. And what a wonderful opportunity to hear what they're being asked and either record those trainings and build a library. I know we've touched on that a little bit in the past, or teach their growers how to have a conversation with AI. I don't know, Brad, how much you've had in your industry of the conversation as to teaching your clients, your customers, for us, your growers, how to actually ask some basic questions to AI before they pick up the phone and call. Can you give me
Yeah,
some insight on that?
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, AI is here to stay, and it's important that you don't have to embrace it necessarily, but at least be curious and start dabbling in it, and reach out to people like Laura who know how these things work in and out, because yes, in our industry is very similar, and I think that it's just going to continue to snowball.
It is. It is. When we're talking about some of these questions, again, in agriculture, I know how important it is for those face to face, those relations that we have with, I mean, they are strong relationships, and we want to definitely never replace or interrupt that. It is just the teaching growers to open up their phones and have a conversation with AI to get further along in that conversation before they contact your dealership. And I know that's what Brad was kind of alluding to here, as to, we know AI is going to be there. So if we can maybe teach our growers what kind of questions to ask, then when they call, they will know what type of row unit to add, or how to upgrade their current row unit, or how to reset their monitor or pull that data from their monitors. I know one of the common trainings would be is monitor updates, how to do those tech updates. But if we can have growers use that $1,000 computer in their pocket and actually take a picture, it's amazing what answers they're able to find out. That way, when they call you, they can actually place that order for parallel arms to upgrade. They can actually place the order for the components to take their planners to the next level without having to start at the basics of explaining they've got X number of rows, they have this kind of soil conditions, they're going to be combating this kind of, or with this weather, we never know what they're going to be doing. So a lot of times they have to go back and make some changes if it's too wet or too dry throughout the season. But Brad, I know that you have a great knowledge of chatbots, and I thought this would be a great time to have you give an overview of just even a basic chatbot. I know we've installed several into websites, but because this is definitely where you shine, do you want to give our listeners and our viewers maybe just a little overview of the importance of chatbots and how they can help answer questions?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Excuse me. So, with what's happening really on the cutting edge of online marketing and how AI integrates into that for all different types of industries, it's really evolved. I mean, whether this was the last 6 months or a year, and it continues to change. So, chatbots in general, just think about even a few years ago, somebody might have a chat feature on their website, but it was very well, rudimentary would be the word I would think of. Meaning, if somebody came to your website and they tried to start a chat with you, and you weren't right there on the other end or didn't have some sort of a phone app to be notified, then they kind of were left in the dark, and no question was answered, and they left, and you didn't know who they were. That's evolved now. And so now with modern chatbots, there's several different types, but typically when somebody comes there now, they are prompted to at least give their name and email, and that way you have the ability to communicate with them past the time if for some reason you still miss them. But now, in most cases, you have some sort of an app on your phone. They could be on their phone on your website, and it becomes more of a text message where it's a permanent conversation, meaning it's not just something that disappears when they go off the website. So now you can communicate with them in that respect, where the conversation has started, can be carried on today, tomorrow, next week, very easily. And you can also now really train your chatbot to know your business, know what answers to questions that people could be asking. So typically, the chatbots are trained firstly with your website. So your website is typically your hub of all the information about your company, what you offer, your services, your products, that type of thing. And so the chatbot is trained to know all the ins and outs of your website, whether that's hours, location, what you offer, that type of thing. And then from there, you can even get more granular with them and really train it on all of the basic questions and answers that somebody may ask. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Is that helpful? Does that explain it well?
It is because I know that we've been through the episodes of Harvesting Growth and just my little sound bites, my shorts that I've been putting out is how to strengthen websites and how owners, while they're waiting on the different downtime, where they can go ahead and and take some of those questions that they've been receiving at their planner clinics, take some of those questions they've been receiving by the phone or have been emailed in and turn them into FAQs. And to your point, Brad, adding that chatbot, and some people are a little intimidated about chatbot. They have that, like you said, the old versions in their mind where it's very robotic and people just are constantly wanting to talk to a human. Now it may take a moment for people to realize that a chatbot's just answering them, which is nice. So even if it's just a text base or a one that would actually give you an audio base, is pulling that information from your website. So as you've strengthened your website with the frequently asked questions and really put in more detail about the products as to what soil is good for, where you would recommend it, where what is compatible with this, how to fix this wiring issue. That is able, a chatbot's able to provide that again, as an initial answer, you and your team will always be there. You and your team will be the, it'll be handed off to you. They can still ask for you. But again, if they can get some of these basic questions answered, that's what we're just trying to highlight is an option. So if you're interested in one of the virtual bots, a chat bot on your website, feel free to reach out and we can give you more information. There's a lot of options out there, or visit with your own web developer and ask them about that. Because again, this is something that's elevated that wasn't this sophisticated even a year ago. We're really seeing some changes fast.
And I think the important part is a lot of them now, like you mentioned, can have the human in the loop,
Yes,
so that it saves time for both ends, as far as communication, frequently asked questions, and things that would just be a repetitive, redundant type thing. But then it's able to say, yes, I want to talk to a human, or you're on the other end with your phone and I say, oh, by the way, this is Jamie and I'm here live and I can help you now. It sounds like you have some basic questions, but we can continue this on chat, or if you like, I can give you a call. And there's even more advanced features than that, but that's kind of the next level of where it's headed.
exactly, exactly. And I know if you're a listener or a viewer and you're watching this and you're like, ooh, I'm not really sure if we're ready for that. That might be a summer or, right before harvest issue that you want to go ahead and put that in place. That's fine. So let's go back to what I was saying regarding, have you trained your growers how to use AI and to ask this question? So we've done several in-person trainings with different groups. We've also done some webinars on this. So I'm going to share a very high level overview, and then we're going to go a little bit deeper into how to ask questions. And this is something that you can share with your growers as well. And I think in agriculture, of course, it resonates well because of how we've broke it out. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick.
Sounds good.
Let's see if it's going to give me this one. Okay. And what we have, and Brad, you can verify that you can see that.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay. So what we have here is the crop method. What better way to remember it in agriculture than the crop method? And this is when we want to make sure that we have a really good question going in versus a very basic question. So instead of asking, just tell me about this 2020 monitor or whatever monitor they may have in their equipment, you want to kind of talk about crop. So context, role, output, and parameters, because we all know no matter what we do, garbage in, garbage out. And the other thing, too, we know with agriculture, the input that we put on our fields definitely we benefit. The better input we put in, we get better output. So if we break this down as to context, we want to think, mention, you want to tell your grower to mention they are a corn grower, or they are a soybean farmer, or cotton, sugar beet, whatever it might be. So let AI know what kind of crop they're actually putting in the ground, or if they are a cattle farmer, whatever it might be, have the business type and what the goal would be. The role, you want them to act as a seed advisor or a fertilizer expert or a precision ag dealer, technician. You want to define that role so that AI knows what kind of questions, and it's starting to narrow its level of experts to give you a very specific answer. The output, tell them how you want it to be delivered. Are you a grower that, or will your growers prefer it to be in a bulleted form, easy to read? If you want it to, teach me like I'm a fifth grader, because it can break it down, or you can say, no, I need it to be very technical. It can be very specific on the output. And parameters, what is the tone and what is the constraints? So you do want to kind of think about this. Another way, I'm going to try to switch to my other screen. That, like I said, is a very elevated one. Brad, I'm thinking I'm going to have to stop sharing this one. Let's
Okay.
go back to and then share the next one. And if you're saying, okay, that seems very basic, but don't you need to put a little bit more into your prompting? You can. We just don't want to be too overwhelming. And this gives a little bit more specifics. Again, just kind of breaking it down that when you get into the context, instead of just saying that you are a corn farmer, you can actually be specific about who, where, why. In other words, tell them your area, tell them your soil type, tell them your pH levels or whatever. You can even upload, if you're a grower sitting in your office and you have some of your field records, you can even upload those if you want. When we're talking about the role again, that's the role of the AI. So again, they could be your expert giving you that advice, what the objective or the parameters are. You want to make sure that's also in there. So again, this all objective and output, we go back and forth with that same kind of thing. We want to state the goal as to what you want to get. But this helps if your grower can at least think of crop when they're asking the questions, that they can put more information into that question to get better output. Does that make sense, Brad?
That is really cool. What a great example. And I think you nailed it. You made it very clear of the different ways you can do it, but at the same time, you simplified it. So great job. That's really good.
Well, thank you. I think that, again, in this episode of Harvesting Growth, we wanted to really hone in on you and your team answer a lot of questions. You answer a lot of questions. And if you can capture those, whether by recording them, by getting them typed up into your and onto your website, whether you can be training a chatbot or some virtual assistant to be answering some questions, or train your growers with some basic crop parameters when they are asking AI, you're going to find out that when your phone rings, because you've provided clear, fast answers online, they're going to come to you with specifics of what they're looking for, and your conversations are going to be that much stronger. Brad, is there anything else that you want to add?
No, that's exactly right. I think that you laid it out, and I think that what you shared is gold. And yeah, I don't really have anything to add because I think that was really good.
Great. Well, I appreciate everybody that's listening today. Feel free to subscribe or give us the thumbs up like button. And this is to give you your competitive advantage. And that's the reason why we wanted to get together for Harvesting Growth and talk about this with Agtivation. Thank you, Brad, again for joining me. Again, I'm Laura Sutherly, and it's time to get out there and play in the dirt. Thanks for joining.